What made you straight up nope out of a relationship? She wanted our relationship to be exclusive but secret. Oh boy, thanks for the flashbacks. My ex was in the closet, so in the 2 years we were together, I know, way longer than it should lasted, I never met his family, most of his friends. He never met mine. We only hanged in my apartment. Never officially dated because he wanted me to have a six-pack first, and even when he came out of the closet never mentioned me to his family. Broke up with me with a Facebook chat and then will still try to be with me and get mad if I was with someone else. Married for 6 years. Started out thinking she just struggled with depression and anxiety sometimes, but things kept escalating. I walked away when she started threatening to stab me in my sleep. We had already tried several couples therapists and individual therapists, but she refused to consider medication. I called her to meet up and try to find some closure, but she cut me off, telling me I wasn't allowed to leave her, and as punishment she was sleeping with 2 other guys. At that point I just ignored her number and filed for divorce. Hope she's doing well, but glad to not be afraid for my life. Lady stayed the night for first time, then started taking pictures of my house the next morning and posting them on social media. She put my bedroom, living room, and master bath on, and I was like, what are you doing? She said, I want everyone to see your place. I said, UHH. Let me take you home. Told her I didn't like that she did that. Then she complained on social media how I was so petty for not liking her posting my house. Then called me up to go out again. I was just astonished she thought I would be like, post my house, speak ill of me, and come on back. That was one night. Nope. Followed me to a night out. Got on his knees stopping traffic in the middle of a city center street to declare his love. We had been on 2 dates. He also told me that same night he could see into the future and already knew he was going to die defending my honor while I was carrying our twins. Yeah. He was fun. 2 weeks after my mother died, he asked, is that still bothering you? Similar thing happened to me. My dad died, and I didn't want to go to her house and had dinner with her family not even a week after because I was sad, and she said, you're always going to be sad, and got mad at me for not going. Showing up at my door when I hadn't disclosed my address happened to me as well. He showed up at 11 PM on a Saturday night unannounced. Freaked me out. We weren't in a relationship, but I had a developing thing with a guy once. Until one day, when I wasn't around, he and some other friends of ours went to a bar and he sneakily slipped stronger alcohol into some other girl's drink there. This girl apparently was talking a lot with one of our other friends and not showing much attention to him. So he got jealous and threw this friend on the floor and started to strangle him. He was obviously thrown out of the bar after that and later tried to play it off as just a joke and just messing around. How do you jokingly try to strangle someone anyway? Anyway, I dropped this guy out of my life right after I found out. I definitely wouldn't want to be stuck with someone like that. She told me she was on birth control. Turns out she thought drinking a lot of Mountain Dew would make it, so she couldn't get pregnant. Oh man. That is some grade A trash right there. Told everybody she knew about any little disagreement. Anytime I could be perceived unreasonable, it was everyone's business. But somehow the surprises, special dates, lending her cousin rent money, all of that wasn't brought up. Just negative stuff was public knowledge. Not like you're not pretty, but you would be so much more attractive if you looked like insert my baby sister's name. To which I said, you mean 15 years younger and a minor, 6 feet blonde, and a size 2. He said it in front of his friends, and everything went dead silent. His best friend punched his arm and told him he was being a dick. I got up and walked out. His sister called later to apologize for him being an asshole and told me his entire family was pissed at him. Worst part, he genuinely didn't think he did anything wrong. He was violent when angry, like crazy angry. What did me in was when he sped up on a dark county road and turned off the headlights. We survived, and as soon as we got into town I got out of the car and relationship. She started full on hitting me on day 3. I had a huge crush on her for a while, but never had the opportunity to talk to her given our weird work schedules. Then a friend from work sets us up. I was elated. First date goes really well, and we hit it off. We start spending as much time as we can around each other, talking on the phone every night, all the special things you do when you're starting a new relationship. Then she starts coming over more often unannounced. She would say for a couple nights, then a week, then 2 weeks. I would come home from work and she would be in my house, sometimes drunk. Thing was, she had almost been fired for an incident involving alcohol before, and was lying to them about her sobriety. She would have a few too many, then go off about her family or how I wasn't taking our 2-month relationship serious enough. Final straw dropped on Valentine's Day this year. She gets annihilated to the point of not being able to walk on her own. After I refuse her drunk advances, she flips out. What followed was a couple hours of her threatening to drive home drunk, sitting outside so the cold weather would freeze her to death, laying in my bed and wailing my name till hoarse, and alternating between manic laughter and crying. 2 days later, once she was sobered up, I told her to kick rocks. We dated for just around 3 months. Quickest turnaround ever for me in a relationship. My last relationship, which ended 2 weeks ago. She's super religious and told me that my dad had shot himself because it was God's plan. To my face. He died in 2019. I dated this girl who was jealous, and I mean super jealous. I couldn't hang out with my friends without her constantly calling me. Obviously I couldn't do the same, because how could I be jealous? That would meant I didn't trust her. That's annoying enough to end a relationship. But it was just the tip of the iceberg. After 9 months, I found out from one of my friends, who also happened to be a close friend of hers, that she had been hiding her sexuality to me. She was actually bi. At first I really didn't get why she did that, because I absolutely have no problem with these things. Mutual friend then told me that she was going around ducking other chicks. So basically she was hiding her bisexuality so that she could have sex with any girl she wanted to, without me even suspecting anything. Sometimes she even had threesomes with the girls' boyfriends. When I told her I knew everything, she started telling me that SE didn't want me to know because those other people didn't really matter for her and she didn't love them. Needless to say, I noped the duck out to there. After maybe 2 years of him constantly trying to make me jealous, we temporarily had a 16-hour time difference as I was traveling home to see my grandparents, when I was asleep for maybe 7 hours because, well, it was nighttime, and I had not responded to his 50 texts. He finally said he was going to spend time with other girls for 7 hours that day, because that's how long I was probably going around spreading legs. LOL, I don't know why, but at that moment it was like a moment of clarity, and I just replied okay, blocked him, his family, and all his friends and just moved on. She wanted to get married after the first date. He didn't have a car, so I'd help him with rides to work. He worked third shift at Toys R Us stocking shelves. I picked him up one night, and he was so drunk he could barely stand. I made some comment about how he isn't going to be able to work. He started throwing shit at me in the parking lot. I threw his shit on the ground and left him there. I've dealt with one too many alcoholics and I wasn't wasting any more of my time. Cut to 5 years later, he is now sober and getting married this year. So good for him. When I wasn't allowed to hang out with my male friends in broad daylight, but he thought it was okay to hang out with girls he didn't know in the middle of the night, was a major red flag. My husband of 5 years choked his sister and lifted her off the ground by her throat a couple nights ago. I'm not sticking around to see it happen to me. Either he was drunk and she smacked him because he was being verbally abusive to me and getting in my face. He turned around and tried carrying her up our stairs by her throat. After that happened, I was crying, grabbed my purse, and started walking for about 20 minutes before I called Mill Police. He stayed the night elsewhere and now wants to go to therapy with me. I've been trying to get him to go with me for months, and now that this has gone public and he could lose his promotion, he's finally decided to go with me. I told him I want a divorce yesterday, and I'm working on things I gotta do today for that to happen. We had dinner plans. She didn't show, nor pick up her phone all evening. Then she turned up about midnight, in her car, hammered and off her tits on gear. I tried to take her keys. She ran out the house. I followed. She drove her car at me. I called her brother to come and pick her up. The next morning I dropped her car and her belongings at her place. Bye. She picked me because I had the same first name, general appearance, and lived in the same area of the state as her ex-fiancé of 2 years that she had just been dumped by a month before we met. I felt even more offended about all of that than just being straight up rejected. She talked a lot about hating guys being cheap on dates. First date I take her to a really good sushi place and spend like 120 cause I wanted to be nice. She said she would pay for us next time cause she was extremely flattered. Second date she chose the place and she took me to Ducking McDonald's. For context, she isn't broke. Even paid at least triple of what I get. Like bro, I don't give a shit where you take me, but WTF man. Why set the bar so high only to immediately ignore it when you have to be even? For clarity, I wanted to go there already and it was more she wants expensive and I want an excuse to go here. So duck it, not that I wanted to meet her. Standards laughing my butt off. My most recent ex would always ask me random questions. Like, what would you do if someone came running towards us right now? Bearing in mind that's pretty vague, I'd answer something like move out of their way so they can keep running, and she'd say wrong answer then get mad at me because she meant to attack us, and I didn't say I'd jump in her way to defend her. And she used to ask all different sorts of very vague questions, and when I'd answer she'd say wrong answer and get mad at me for not answering the way she wanted me to. Got out of there as quickly as I could. She came to stay for the first time. It was the night before New Year's Eve and we were planning to go out drinking for New Year's Eve. I had just worked a 12-hour shift. Carpet fitter, so manual labor, so I was exhausted. She had a few drinks and started to get aggressive because I wanted to just relax that night, but she wanted to go out drinking. We broke up 3 days later. My father was an aggressive drunk when I was a kid, so I could see how it would go. If you know you're an aggressive drunk, get off the drink, man. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.